This is Spiteful Brute, Harleen Lopez, and you're watching the Three Count Podcast.
Welcome everyone to another great edition of the Three Count Podcast presents Now Entering, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you up that mountain called wrestling. And by now, with this being season 6 or 420 something episode, I would just hope you say it with me. I am your Sherpa, because like your tribal chief, acknowledge me. But like every good Sherpa, you gotta have someone who's been there, done that, and can do it more efficiently. You can't. That's why it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. So who's entering the ring? You can find her at SWA, TWI, PPL, Flying V. You can find her at BCW, Blitzkrieg Pop. You can find her at RSPW. She is ruthless by nature, the queen of brutality. She is the one. She is the spiteful brute, Harleen Lopez.
Oh my God, what an intro. I've never heard an intro like that before. Maybe just reminisce everything I've done so far. Thank you. How's it
Yeah.
going?
It's going great. It's going great. Yo, so we be running into each other like a lot lately. So I was like, yo, let's get
Oh,
this booked up and let's get this talked and let's get this going. And so finally, boom, here we are making it happen right now. And
after I
nah,
was procrastinating for like months.
hey, we don't got hey, y'all don't gotta know that. Okay. She
Okay.
just let you know that, but no.
I'm very honest, okay? Like I'll just be honest, I'm busy and this has nothing to do with wrestling, just in general. I just got a degree. I'm trying to get more bookings out here because I want to be wrestling every weekend. So, and then like there's times where I'm just like looking at a wall. So like it's not even your fault.
It's funny because like there's like that big debate right now that's like
Mm,
going on online about whether it's quantity bookings or quality bookings, right? And some people
mm,
say like, and it's been funny to see both sides of the arguments happening. So like, for those who
yeah,
are wondering, it's Cinco de Mayo, right? That's when we're
right.
recording this. Crazy enough, that's not
Oh
even
yeah,
what the top plan was, not
yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
when you and I were talking about this.
Uh,
Um,
representing.
right. But no, it is crazy to see like the arguments of like, yeah, you want to be in somewhere that has like a lot of like cameras, they have good quality, and then there's like you don't work
Right.
at the shindies, but then like you have person A say this, but then like I saw Dax from FTR was like, no, take all those bookings, get all those reps in, learn what works, learn what doesn't work. He's like, so it's funny to see, but like what I guess I'll ask this question. What's your thought on that? What would you rather do? Work everywhere or work like quality places?
I see his perspective completely because he has that old school mindset where it's like every rep, every match matters because the
Yeah.
more matches that you get, the more you figure out like who you are and what you do, and when those reps happen, like you get more comfortable with yourself. So I
Yeah.
completely understand that. But then there's also like the day age of today where you have to be careful with the bookings you choose, not necessarily to uh can we curse on here? Can we curse?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay, we're not necessarily like shit on any other like upcoming like newer talent, but sometimes you're not familiar with how they work, and like maybe they work a different style that you do, and you're not like comfortable, and you don't have that chemistry. So then there's a bigger chance of like getting injured, and you have like this plan for yourself, this goal to be at certain places. But if you're taking all those bookings, you're tiring yourself out, you're getting injured every other match, then it kind of hinders that. So if anything, I see both perspectives.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, I'm very grateful that the bookings that I take up, it has to do with like the roster and like the shows is like a lot of people that I know or I train with,
Yeah.
or the like I very much understand their work. Where it's like if they're gonna put me with someone on there, I know that I'm safe. Every like I said, every style is very different. Every trainer is very different, but at least I know that I'll be safe at the end of the day, and I know how I move. I know how like what I'm comfortable working with, and that's also the best part of like me getting those all those bookings in the beginning of my career, that I know what I'm comfortable doing with certain people, and so
Yeah.
I don't get injured. So yeah, I don't know. I see both perspectives really. So uh,
I do see both perspectives. I think to me what it is like I think in the first like, and I'll be fair, and this is like a few could be like, oh, that's a big number. I think in the first like 8 years, you should be taking as many bookings as you can, because once you get like comfortable being able to call anything in the ring, I think then at that point, like you can kind of be kind of selective at that point, like what bookings you
Mhm.
want to take on. I
For sure.
feel like when you look at something like professional wrestling, right? Like it's all about the reps that you get at hand. I know I and this will be controversial, but I listen to Mike Quackenbush, and Mike always talks about like
Batman.
being able to, yeah, being able to call things in the ring and like understand and fill it out. And so
Mhm.
I think it's very important to be able to like work any kind of style, but then like once
Yeah.
you get comfortable, like okay, I can kind of work every style, kind of like an AJ Styles. Like then at that point,
Mhm.
you can kind of be like, all right, I'm gonna pick and choose my bookings. I'm not saying that
Right.
every person out there is AJ Styles. I'm just saying that
Right. I
once you start
wish. Shit.
understanding, yeah, right. If I got in the ring like one time and all of a sudden I became bam as great as AJ Styles, I'd be like, all right, bro, I'm gonna pick and choose. Nope, not that booking. We're gonna go right over there. But I
But
think,
also it helps with networking as well. Like the more
yeah,
people that you see, the more people that you know, then you're able to like expand on that and then, hit those promotions that you want to hit,
right.
down the line.
I think that's very
So,
important too. Like you should be able
mhm,
to pick, like you should be able to utilize that network as you're building it. But I think the only way you're going to get that network is if you're, taking on more bookings and going to places. And you never know, because like a person like Carmelo Hayes, right, was
mhm.
found at a show that had like 12 people in the crowd.
There you go. Yeah,
Like
you just never know. You never know who's watching. But
never.
also, I like it's weird. I kind of hate, but also like the saying of like out of sight, out of mind. But like the more eyes that you're in front of, you never know who that could be.
Yep.
So
Yep. And
yeah.
you never know what match is gonna be that's gonna blow up. Like Tommy Invincible is a perfect example of someone who's
Mm.
just like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like, and he's been
So
doing it for
good, hell
years. Yeah.
yeah, and then he got on GCW, and then
Yep.
it was like in front of all those eyes.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
fucking
Yep.
dope.
And
Yeah.
then like Pat McAfee just recently shouted him out.
Mm.
Like,
Really, I didn't
yeah,
do that. Yeah.
he's interviewing Triple H. And he's like, yeah, well, I really hope Tommy Invincible makes it up on the show. And then they're like, well, I guarantee someone's
Oh.
already looked at him. And then not even just Pat McAfee, but Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz, like on
Mm.
his
Yeah.
podcast, was interviewing Hunter and mentioned Tommy Invincible. And he's like, well, I guarantee that if you're talking to me about him now, someone on our team is already looking at him. And I was
Right.
like, Jesus, bro. Like
They
oh, I
know.
mean,
They
yeah.
see everything, even if they don't admit it. They see everything. It's
Oh yeah.
scary. It's so scary.
100%.
Um,
Like I think about it too, where I'm like, I know like this podcast, like they're gonna go back and they're gonna watch a bunch of stuff I said on the debate show, and they're gonna be like, hey, you know what? Nah.
yeah.
Like he's a genuine person, but he said a lot of mean things. Like, nah, we don't need him. We don't want
Getting
it.
too free with the words that you're saying, dude.
Yeah. And I
Nah.
think about it too. I'm just like, yep. I was like, nobody. Maybe TNA. Maybe TNA will be the one that'd be like, hey, you know what? We'll take a
It's fine.
chance on him.
Yeah, it's
But
fine.
everybody else, nah.
And dude, that's why I got so scared about my Twitter. I had to change my Twitter. Well, I was a child though. Let's be real.
Yep.
When I first had Twitter, I was a child. I was saying I was a fan, so I said whatever that was on my mind. But now, being in the business, I have to be definitely gotta be careful because we all have our opinions,
Yeah.
And not saying that they're right or wrong, but like, sometimes you just gotta be careful.
Yeah. And I think I like, being close to 40, I kind of like come to the terms like, yeah, I know I'm not gonna get like, there's not gonna be like that big all of a sudden like the E's not calling me, and I'm not trying to say that they won't. I'm not gonna say never,
Mm,
but I'm come to terms with the fact that there's probably not gonna be a phone call, from any
mm,
big name company, and I'm okay with that. Like I love wrestling because I love wrestling, and I have so much
yeah,
fun, and I'm kind of good at it. So I'm just like, yeah, I like it, but I
yeah.
also say a lot of controversial shit on this show, so I'm just like, whatever.
Hey, as long as you're having fun at the end of the day, I feel
Yeah.
like that's the most important part. I think
Yeah.
people forget that to have fun.
Learn and grow. That's all that you need to do. Learn,
Yeah.
and I feel like I hear that so much that it's like it's important that you get in the
Right.
business, have fun, and remember, like if you're never losing. People always keep talking about like wins and losses matter. I'm like, no, they
Mm.
don't. Like,
No, no, no,
no,
not in professional wrestling. I feel like
no.
the match matters more than the wins or
As
losses.
long as you're learning, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You're
Learning,
in
having
there
fun.
learning.
Yeah, and it's because a lot of people say that, but then we always forget like what that means. Obviously, because the more you're in it, the more matches you're in it, it's just like, what do you mean having fun? But like literally this past weekend, I really can't like talk much about it because it hasn't like there yet. But
Yeah,
like, let's just say like I wrestled someone who, has like a reputable name, and she even told me before even going out, remember to have fun. It's professional wrestling. And like for some reason that still shocks me that like certain people would say that to me,
yeah,
like to remind me. And like it's just very important. I don't know. But like if anything, every time I'm in a ring, I have fun. It's
yeah,
crazy. Like the stuff that I find fun about professional wrestling, I feel like not majority do. Like, because I love the physicality of it, I love the sport of it. So I always have fun whenever I'm in there. When I'm like, I feel like I'm at the point of getting blown up. I feel like I'm already having fun. So like,
yeah.
yeah.
I see, and that's the thing. Like even now, like for me, because my last two this last weekend, right? I'll just share it here because when this episode comes out, hopefully I'll have the footage somewhere out there that people can see. But I worked Ruckus in West Virginia, and then I worked Isaiah Wolf in
Oh, it's great.
Maine,
Mm.
like
Yeah, yeah,
back to back. First of all, back to back nights. I just want to put that
yeah.
out there. So when people ask me, I live in Massachusetts. It was a 7.5 hour drive to West
Woo.
Virginia, only to drive 7.5 hours back to Massachusetts to
Mhm.
drive 2.5 hours north to Maine to wrestle the next day and then drive back down. I'm not looking for an award of most
Name of the
mileage
game.
covered.
It's
What
just
I
the name of
am
the
saying
game.
what I will say though, and there was something that both people said to me, right? Because they both knew that I'm still, I'm 5 years in. I'm still relatively new. I'm still relatively
Mhm.
learning. And both of them said to me, "Hey man, relax. Just remember that we're gonna go out there and have fun." And I was like,
Yeah.
so to hear from two different veterans, I was like, yo, that kind of like calmed everything down. So
Relax.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it
And
puts all the stresses away.
yep.
But we're always so anxious before even like going out, whether if we know the match or we don't. It's just for some reason we're just like I
Yeah.
see it with everybody. It doesn't matter like how many years you're in. I still see it backstage. We're just like, what you? And then they have their little routine. They're doing this, they're doing that, like looking at the wall, like doing jumping jacks, just like not blinking. And I was like, bro.
Well, people, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but people always come up to me during like so at SWA especially, they'll come up to me and they'll put their hands out because they know that I have like a bag of jelly gummy bears with me, and I'm
Oh,
always snacking on. Yeah, because I get so nervous, and then my
uh,
anxiety takes over, and then so what I found was that when I start snacking on gummy bears, and it's just regular gummy bears, okay,
yeah,
there's nothing there.
yeah.
But when I start snacking on gummy bears, like, my anxiety subsides, and
Mm,
I've tried it with other things too, so it's funny enough, I tried it with gum, it didn't really help as much, but
mm.
something about gummy bears, like, kind of just, like,
Just
soothes me,
relaxes
and
you.
then yeah,
Yeah.
and
Do
I'm
you
like,
have any other like I guess you could say pre-match routines though, besides from the Cavaliers?
you know what's funny?
Mm,
I so the gummy bears was the biggest thing, but recently, like, I've started taping up my gloves, and if you notice on my gloves, they'll always say, hashtag tag me in, and I
mm,
got your six, which are both mental health. So one for wrestling, one for
yeah.
the military. And on the bottoms, I just started writing Proverbs 27:17 and Little Boulevard, which is actually my best friend who passed away. So I started
Oh.
writing them on my gloves. And then funny enough, I'll share this other one too. Not that you guys will ever know because you guys won't be able to see it, but under my glove, I wear my wedding band, and my
Mm.
wedding band is taped down, and on there it has a heart drawn on there. And my wife
Oh.
didn't know that until she saw me for the first time wrestling at a local show at Focus Pro Wrestling in Braintree.
Yeah.
She had no idea, and then when I showed her, she was
Oh,
like, "Oh." And so she talks about it to her coworkers a lot too. So
that's
I'm like,
fucking dope. Dude, make me believe in love again. There you go. Make it real.
"Hey,
Well, I
hey,
believe in love, but somehow I gotta, have the reassurance. It's still real out there, folks.
it's
Shit.
still out there." Like, listen, my
Bro.
wife and I have been married for 15 years. I'm like,
Oh,
it's yeah,
that's awesome. Oh
wow.
yeah.
Yo,
Trying to be
so
like, yo,
say again.
down the line, down the line. Now we're
Yeah. Yeah, like, how old are you anyway?
I'm only 24 right
You
now,
got
but
time.
I want so I've always in my entire life I always say that like professional wrestling is my first love. So I want to get as much out of this career as I can before I even like think about anything else.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe that's it, like a hinder on me because then like it's like I'm not really like trying to like think about that stuff like compared to like a normal, you know, 24-year-old woman. But like, hey, you gotta beat wrestling first.
Let me tell you, I was 25 when I got married, okay?
Mm,
And
mm,
my wife was 24. but I was in
Mm.
the military. Like I had lived a whole
Ah,
other life before I ever got into pro wrestling. So
right,
like
right.
for me to kind of like slide into this role and wrestle and do pro wrestling, like we've already been through like a lot of ups and downs and stuff like that. And she's like, all right, well, this is something that Cliff Clear is passionate about, so I'm just gonna like let him do his thing. And very much gratefully, like I'm glad that I have a partner who rides and dies. So if you find someone who understands like your
Mhm.
passion and love and desire, like hey, they there. And also if the bills are taken care of, like make sure that
Oh
happens
fuck.
too.
Oh fuck, yeah. Definitely.
Like it doesn't make sense. Like oh man, rent's due. Oh well, I gotta go work. Let me go to the show. You ain't gonna have an
Right.
apartment when you get
Gotta
back.
be a, gotta be a team effort. Come on.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But yo, let me ask this question to you. So, um, and a lot of the one question that everybody asks is like, yo, what got you into pro wrestling or this, that, and the other? Cool. That's a great question to ask if you want to be on like any other show. But what I want to know is what was the moment that made you go, you know what, I have to do this?
Oh shit. All right. So obviously, I feel like I've repetitively said this so many times in like interviews because like my family was big on wrestling, so it was always around me. I always make the joke that like when I was in my mother's womb, I was listening to The Rock and Stone Cold just going at it on the mic. Like I just hear that shit through her belly. But I don't know because I've always been surrounded by it that I loved it so much, but like I never like I knew it was something I wanted to be a part of, but
Yeah.
I never like saw myself in a person to be, like get into it, if that makes sense. Until weirdly enough, I saw both AJ Lee and then when I stumbled across tapes for like a lot of Joshi wrestling from back in the
Mm.
90s. So it was like weirdly enough, it was like in the same month that happened. Whereas the first time I saw AJ Lee like on the mic doing like I don't even I'm trying to remember what segment it was, but I knew it was around the time that like she was with the CM Punk and Daniel Bryan storyline.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously I knew about her previously because I was following the game show nonsense NXT and all that stuff. But I think it was like the moments when that was happening in those promos, I was like, she looks like me. She talks like me. Maybe it's a possibility that I could, because like she's getting all this TV time and all this platform. People love her and people are getting
Right.
behind her. So who's to say I can't? So then that's when like the little manifestation started happening in my brain. And then when I stumbled across Joshi tapes, because my older brother was actually really big on wrestling too, so he had all these tapes, all this stuff. He was around during the Monday Night Wars, so he has like a
Mm.
shit ton of stuff. And when I stumbled across those tapes, I was like, women, they're not that huge, like, in size or anything, but they're like, they're hitting hard. They have the speed, they have the agility, the athleticism. Like, fuck it, I want to fucking do this shit. I want to be like dumb. I want to have, if anything, I wanted to have the aura and the persona of like AJ Lee with like everyone loving her. You know what I mean? Like everyone connecting with her. I would say not loving, but like connecting with her, connecting with her, and also be the athlete that these Yoshis are. So I wish I could remember the exact match. It was just like like I was just like binge watching those all night that night. I was just keep watching until like
Yeah.
3 a.m. Um, but yeah, it was just like when I saw those Joshis doing their thing, it was just that was when I thought like this is what I want to pursue in life, and I want to become someone important in this industry doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wish I had an exact match. I wish because everyone always asks me what's the match or what's the moment. I'm like, it was around this time with all these things.
No,
But yeah.
that's a perfect moment because, like, even for me,
Mhm.
like, I had been around wrestling like my whole life too. I ain't gonna front, like, because
Mhm.
clearly I'm old as shit. Uh, but and, I remember I watched Halloween Havoc '97 live, and I watched Rey
Mm.
Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero to like this day. Like, I
Oh
still
wow.
think that's the
Yeah.
most perfect match of like I've ever
I like it
seen.
too.
And I know
Mhm.
people can be like, "Well, Shawn Michaels and the Undertaker, WrestleMania 25." I don't care. Don't care. And they're like, well, before that, Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man. I don't care. Halloween Havoc to me still is that match. Um, but also, another moment that I talk about was when The Rock returned to host WrestleMania. Like I
Okay.
remember, yeah, I remember like 2011, just sitting in home
Yeah.
and just like watching that happen, and like the hair on my skin like
Mm.
rose up.
Yeah.
I had everything. I was chicken skinned out. I was just freaking out. Like I was there. Um,
Yeah.
and I just think to that moment that I was like, at that moment, I was like, whatever, I got to do whatever it takes to get into the business. I got to do
Right.
whatever it takes. And
Mm.
that's all I kept thinking about. That's all I dreamt about. And I was like, all right, I got to figure this out. And then once I graduated college, I was like, all right, well, I don't got really nothing else to do. So my next
Yeah.
goal is to just go into pro wrestling and then let's have fun. And
Right.
yeah, I just remember after that, I was like, we're gone. And my wife was like, what? You're doing what? I was like, I'm getting into pro wrestling. She's like, aren't you a little old for that? I was like, DDP was 36. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. DP was up there, but like then again, he was also a bouncer in like the Jersey area. So yeah, but like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
But no, I also remember that moment when The Rock came back because that was when I was like watching it like kind of like every week. There was like a
Mhm.
time when I was younger where I never missed a Monday Night Raw, even if I was like a few minutes late. I was watching every Raw, which maybe not the best era, but like, but I was there, every week for it.
Right.
And so I remember when The Rock came back, and I remember when the crowd like literally came up and like the roof blew off the place for him. For some reason, I thought it was Jericho coming back. What's that? Because it was like the like everything went like all white and stuff. But no,
And the lightning bolt
yeah,
goes
I
through.
agree. Huh?
Yeah. And that lightning bolt went through. And you're
Well, when
like,
the
oh,
lightning bolt, I was like,
yeah.
maybe that's not Jericho.
Yeah. And you're like, it could be Jericho. Cause at that
Could be
point,
the
you'd be like,
Dudleys.
yeah, it
I
could have
don't
been
know.
anybody. I
Yeah.
remember though the following week though, which was crazy because the following week on Raw was when
Mhm.
The Undertaker came out and like he
Yeah.
was looking for an opponent for WrestleMania. And
Mhm.
Undertaker gets in the ring, and like as soon as he gets in the ring, Triple H's music hits, and it's his
Mhm.
return too. And so they
Right.
both stare up. Then no one says anything. They just stare up at
Yeah. And then
WrestleMania
just look
sign. They look
like
back at each other.
slowly.
Yep. And I was
I was
like,
like, someone gotta blink.
"Ugh." I was
Someone
like,
gotta blink.
I was cooking dinner. I was cooking
Yeah.
dinner, and I heard Undertaker's theme song, so I was like, "Oh," and I heard the Johnny Cash theme, right? And I was like, "Oh, that's
Mhm.
cool. He's coming out." And then I hear, "It's time to play the game," and
Yeah.
I burnt the food because I like took off
No,
to the living room to watch it.
Jesus. The
Yep.
fire alarm goes off. I was like, oh shit, this is all fucking
That's
Henry's fault. God damn
that's
it.
that's when I learned that the smoke alarm was not a timer for cooking food.
Oh, Jesus. No. Blame
But
Hunter for burning down your house. Shit.
yeah, but whatever, man. I watched that moment happen, and it was because of those guys. But yeah, I think about that a lot, and those moments were like things that led up to me like wanting to get into the business. And finally, like I said, like it's January 2020. I was like, yo, let's go, let's get this done. Because
Right.
if I don't do it, this will be the biggest what
What
if
if?
I have in my life, and I'm not gonna have that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I live by the quote, like, you never know until you do it, you know? You never know.
yep,
Give it a shot, That's what I
exactly.
always say. hmm
Yo, so you've been in for a few years, so I'm kind of curious as to end this
Yeah.
aspect. What's the worst bump you've taken?
The worst bump. Oh my goodness. I mean, there's times where like, I took a bump and I just didn't breathe. So I like those like in the beginning of my career, when they say exhale, exhale, like I understand the tuck your chin, flatten flatten your back, whatever. But like sometimes in the beginning of my career, for some reason I didn't breathe a lot. So there's a lot of bumps, power bombs, or like even just like a power driver where like I didn't fucking breathe out, and I'm like, shit.
Yeah,
Um, let's see. I know. I mean, like one of the worst bumps I've taken was actually like in training though, because I did not do it correctly. Because this was like very, very beginning. So like maybe a few months, I'm a baby. Uh,
yeah,
and I was at the wrestling factory. I'm not gonna say who it was because there was very a lot of trainers, and like some of them are still amazing to this day. They're very helpful. So I'm not trying to shit on any of them. But there was one where like they were trying to like teach me. I don't even remember if it was like a beetle or something. And like I was like blown up because I don't know how to take any of these yet. But he's telling me, all right, go, 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 go. And like it just like once I landed, it was like very like high shoulder to a point where like on my neck. So like to this day, I still feel a little.
mm.
But like it's I never put like any blame on any trainers because the way that they train is fantastic. It was just me being the stupid idiot of trying to like learn bumps and stuff. So like yeah, that bump in particular I always go back to because I was like, damn, like I can't even be mad at nobody but myself right now.
It's funny how like the worst, like I've heard of bumps like on during shows and stuff like that, but it's always like the training where like the worst bumps happen because like I've
Mm-hmm.
talked about one of the bumps I took too. Like it was so I trained outside, like
hmm
in an outdoor ring,
Oh, okay.
and it was
Wow.
February, and I thought to myself, yeah, I've been bumping now for a couple weeks. Let me go ahead and try Kira Tozawa's like giant senton onto a mat with no crash pad. Yeah, never
Don't do
again.
that.
Never
No, no,
again.
no, no.
That
Always a crash
ring
time, please.
Oh my god, that ring was cold and it was tight and, like, man, as soon as I hit, my trainer looked me right in the face, he goes, "Did we learn something today?" And I was like, "Yeah, we learned a lot. We learned something new."
Jesus.
I too didn't breathe out when I
Mhm.
hit. Like I held my breath all the way down. Mm.
Mm. No, 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 no. It's also weird because when you do that, you feel like where your spine is and like where the rib is like touching your spine. It's like, okay, I don't know. Like I'm hyperventilating right now. I don't know what's happening. Oh my God. No, those bumps are the worst.
Yeah, no, no, no. All right. Well, since you've been in for a while, I'm kind of curious. What's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn?
Um, Man, that's actually a really good question. Um, I would say one of the things would be I would say patience because I understand that yeah, I'll elaborate a little bit with it. Because I understand that like there's times where like the more that you learn when it comes to like over the years where it's like certain trainers and certain like the more you learn is more comparable to somebody who hasn't. And so
Hmm.
like if you're in the ring with someone like very much new or maybe like a few months in or a year in and they still don't know much because like their training is very different. Um, you just have to learn to like be patient with them and like see what will work and like because at the end of the day when you're putting a match together it's both of you. It's a team effort. It's not just you outshining the other, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's a team effort, you know, even if we're like, beating the hell out of each other. So I would say like just the patience of that and like making sure like you talk to them properly because like I understand there's a lot of people in professional wrestling like I haven't met them personally but like are big like it's like jerks, I would say. Because like they have they know so much at this point, and they feel like oh this is like a downgrade, and I have to like baby them and all this stuff. But like I don't see anything wrong with that when it comes to like if you have the patience for it and you're able to like talk to them and like go through it. I feel like just learning that lesson and like over time, like the more people that they put me with that are like new. Um, because at the end of the day, it helps me become a better wrestler. You know, if you know how to like, guide someone like much newer in a match and
Yeah.
having the patience to talk to them and know like how to say certain things and like make sure that you get out of there, happy with no heat. But
Facts.
yeah, patience, and also just learning how do I put this? So there was like a quote that Eddie Kingston said once before he even got signed to well like it was like the tail end of like when he first got signed to AEW where it's like you can compare yourself to other people's and other people's journeys. So because like some people can be like ahead of you when it comes to like
Yeah.
like promotions that they're yeah, I'm trying to word it properly here. Um when it comes to like how far they are with their career and like how exposed or how popular they are. It's really hard to like not compare yourself to other wrestlers, of course, because like sometimes more people would have more success than you sooner. Or
Yeah.
like they get more eyes on them sooner, or like they're training under so and so sooner, or they're in Japan sooner, or whatever. But like you have like Eddie said, you have to learn just not to like do that, not to compare yourself, because your journey is very different than somebody else's journey. And
Yeah.
if you have your own goals and your own passions for it, you put your hard work into it and your consistency in it, it will happen eventually. So yeah, like that's I think that one is the most hardest part because I'm already getting emotional talking about it. Oh my God. But like, but that's like the probably the biggest one. Because it's not just in wrestling, because like I think in my personal life I also have a tendency to do that over the years. And it fucks with like your mental health, of course, and like questioning if you're good enough for this or like you should even still do it and blah 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 blah. But I think it's the important part of is to like think back to why you wanted to do it in the first place and
Yeah.
like what is your goals and what do you want to do and what's your dreams. I feel like focusing on that and not focusing on what everybody else is doing is what's going to get you like ahead, like where you want to be.
Yeah. 100%. I think about that too. Like I'll ask a lot of people. I'll be like, "Yo, how did you get to that spot?" And I'm not asking because I want to be like, "Yo, I'm gonna follow you exactly." I just want to see how
Mhm.
I can parallel your journey so that I can also get to the same position that you are,
Right.
right? And then I started
Yeah.
learning like there's a lot of different ways to get like where you want to get to, right? Whether it's like
Right.
your social media blows up and you just go viral one night, or
Right.
you are just consistently really good in the ring. And I'm not saying that those who go viral are not consistent in the ring. I'm not saying
Right.
that.
Right.
What I'm
Very different.
saying
Very
is that it can happen at any time that you like a
different.
promotion will start knocking on your door and asking you if they can book you for a show. So
Sure.
I like it. I love the fact that don't compare yourself to others because one thing that will also happen that a lot of people don't talk about is that you're gonna get looked at, right, by
Mhm.
somebody, and
Mhm.
if you're always ready, you don't have to worry about getting ready. You're there. So I always
Right.
think
Stay
about
ready.
that. Yeah, there's something I
Right.
learned in the military was like we always had our like stuff all ready to go. We never worried about it because once you're, why do you have to get ready if you're always ready? So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. They always say, what do they say? It's a marathon, not a race. I
exactly.
believe it's marathon, not a sprint. I'm so sorry. I'm fucking it up. Okay, don't quote me on nothing. But,
No,
but
no,
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
I knew what you meant.
Yep. Yes.
We was here.
It
They
takes
weren't.
time.
I bet. Well, let me take this over to my favorite part of the Three Count Podcast. This is the Three Count Podcast, 10 count questions. And Harleen, this is how it works. I'm gonna fire off. Actually, before we get to that part, I want to
Okay.
address something else too, because you and I have something
Okay.
that we have very much in common, and I very much love this fact, and I love talking to other wrestlers about this. Right?
Mhm.
Tú eres Latina, so
See.
what does it mean to you to put your mark on the rung and try to put your inch on as we elevate the ceiling?
Can you repeat that question? Because
Yeah.
I'm serious.
So
Go ahead. Yeah.
so as we progress in this business, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. Back in the day, man, it was always like, oh, you're a cholo, or you're like a gangbang, or you're a luchador, right? Those are like the big
Right.
things that people were talking about when it comes to Latino wrestlers. But
Yeah.
now we've started to diversify. We're starting to show like our personalities and our pride and stuff like that. Whether we're Dominican, Panameño, Colombiano, Mexicano,
Yeah.
you know, wherever we're from,
Mhm.
Chile. Let's be real, because
Yeah.
Stephanie Becker out there, shout outs to you.
Kill
Uh,
it.
but we have so many different personalities and different roles and stuff like that. So for you, what is it to you, and what are you doing to put your inch to lift that ceiling up just a little bit higher?
I'm just saying, I just want to be an example to like chase your dreams and not be afraid of it. Because I am Mexican and Puerto Rican, and my family is not necessarily like we don't have like the financial wealth or like we're not famous or nothing, and we don't have like necessarily a name, whether it's both sides. Because like just being like a first generation college graduate was amazing to like just like be able to get that honor. I'm so grateful for that, and like. I just want to be an example for people like, when it comes to like my type of background. So like just not be afraid to go after what sets your heart on fire and not be afraid to like, to tackle every ceiling that you can. Because like I don't know, I just want to be that type of example. And because I don't like I try my best to like represent like my, heritage of course as much as I can. Harlan Lopez necessarily like yaps too much to like put that connection together though. I'm always like screaming in the damn ring. You never know what language I'm even saying. Um, but yeah, I just want to be able to have one day younger girls like I was, in like a difficult situation growing up to see me and be like, maybe I can become something too. Like I would have a purpose in life. So,
Yeah. There's a I think about that moment a lot too, because actually, right, like as I'm looking, I can see it right here. I have a Panamanian flag, and I'm very
mm,
proud of that flag. So one day it's gonna appear on the show. I don't know where, I don't know when. I just know it's gonna appear on the show, and I'm gonna have it with me. And that flag has like a lot of significant meaning to me, and even in my family.
mhm,
So I can't wait to be able to like showcase that and like have it out, because like, I have it tattooed, but I mean, to be able to walk out with the flag and like show it off, and people will be like, "Well, aren't you American too?" I'm like, yes, I am an American, but I'm also very proud of being Panameño as well. So I was like, for me, I just think about like the culture and just like how I wanted put my little inch in there too to help raise that ceiling.
mhm.
And my character is like very much just a mercenary who talks a lot of shit. Like, he's just very loud and out there and boisterous, and some people say flamboyant. I don't really care. It is what it is. He's a comedic dude. But
Mhm.
it is what it is, and I just want people to know that there's like so many more personalities out there than just your luchador or your gangbanger. Like, I'm like,
Exactly.
yes. And that's why there's other people out there too. Like, I love the Hispanic mechanics. Like, I think they're hilarious, and I
Yeah.
love what they do. And Diego El Trabajador, right? Like, he's
Yeah.
hilarious too. Like, yo, so many good wrestlers out there. Let's go. Himi Hendrix, like, is another
Mm,
one that we could talk about.
yeah.
Like, just so many different personalities out there, and I just
Right.
like, I just want people to know all those people out there. So
Yeah. I know there's
yeah,
a lot of them in California too. That's why I will love like I tweet a lot, but sometimes people don't see my tweets because I yap too much. But I tweeted recently that like I would love to go to like the independent scene down in California because they have a lot of amazing talents down there and a lot of, good wrestlers that one day like, could be signed or be in like bigger platforms are coming out of there. So I
Yeah,
want to be able to go down there to Santino Bros, train down there and like all those other promotions. And I'm just like, one
yep.
day we're like all the way to the other side of the damn country, but that's definitely on the bucket list. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one of us has actually had Joey Munoz on the podcast and got to talk about the
There
Santino
you go.
Bros,
There
especially
you
because
go.
I love the fact that I got the chance to talk to him and tell him like and give him his flowers. 'Cause I told him I was like, during the pandemic when I was like going into wrestling, like I had to figure out how to wrestle without like being able to be with my trainer. So I just watched
Mhm.
all of Santino Bros videos and started like making notes and like learning how to like take certain bumps and do certain moves and stuff like that. And there is no better time to like get reps in than just by getting reps in. But also like if you can watch videos on how to do something, like bruh,
Yeah.
I was watching
This one,
all of Santino Bros.
yeah. Those videos are very helpful. And I'm like a weirdo with that because like I love practice drills. Like I don't know what it is. Like when it comes to practice, one of my favorite things because I love trying to learn the basics again, like crispy and like I always try to like hold my craft when it comes to like even like basic stuff because like that can always go a long way. And like the Santana Bros on their YouTube, like not on their YouTube, but like their Instagram, their Twitter, like they're posting a lot of clips and
Hmm.
like that's I don't know.
Yep.
I like watching those as like a geek that I am. Just like, oh, you do a blow up drill? Heck yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'm gonna use this blow up drill too somewhere. Like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I
Exactly.
listen, I'm a personal trainer and some of those drills that I learn like in wrestling, I put people through and they
Yeah.
hate it. And I laugh because I'm like, yeah, I know how much this sucks. Enjoy.
Yeah. Hey, did you not watch the CM Punk documentary like from way back when? Because like he spoke about when he used to train at the Ring of Honor school that he was like he wouldn't necessarily like how do I word this? He trained people where like he would just see if they would like give up almost. It wasn't necessarily like how athletic you are or how in shape you are. It was just like to a point to show that if you're able to like keep it going and like make sure like you don't give up, and that's fucking
Yep.
fantastic. I feel like training like that is fantastic. And
Yeah.
Cheeseburger does an amazing job doing stuff like that too. A lot of the flow up drills on the other practice. Oh my God. But like it should, but it helps us like unite more together, if that makes sense. Because like we're going through the blow up drills together. We're going through the struggle together. So like that helps us connect too that way.
Yeah. All right. Well, now we'll take this over to my favorite part of the Three Count Podcast, which is the Three Count Podcast 10 count questions. And Harleen, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you rapid fast. And whatever your answer is, that
Ah,
is
I
your answer.
need to sip of this. I got. I don't know. My brain is fast enough. All right.
All right. So we're going to put on an imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing. And in the words of my favorite commentator, Mike Goldberg, here we go. SmackDown or Raw?
Raw.
Favorite movie?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
It's a good one.
Mhm.
Marvel or DC?
DC.
Favorite TV show?
I don't have one currently, but I used to like the Chucky series.
Okay, that's a good one. Waffles or pancakes?
I'm vegan, but like vegan pancakes are the best.
I was like, still, I mean, you still like
Yeah.
favorite cartoon?
Teen Titans.
Yes. Now, is it Teen Titans or is it Teen Titans Go?
Teen Titans.
Yeah,
OG.
that's
Yep.
good choice. Uh, Apple or Android?
Apple. Sorry.
Uh, favorite podcast?
I'm gonna say this one right now. I love the background.
The best podcast. I mean, we nominate one person that you want to see on this show.
I would say the Cyberhawk. So that's Dangerhawk, Razorhawk, and Thunderhawk.
Yep, yep.
I
And
just
then,
put three of them on one. Sorry.
hey, we've done full factions on this show before.
Oh,
Trust
there you
me, like
go.
we're not tripping. Uh, last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this podcast. Favorite curse word?
Motherfucker.
That's the best. This is
Yeah,
the
the
best
best
word.
one.
Bet. Well, those are all my questions for you. So the last thing I need for you to do, Harleen, is to let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
Oh, wait for us. All right. Here we
All
go.
right. So all I need you to do is let our listeners and our viewers know where they can find you.
You can find me at Harleen X Lopez underscore, and that will be Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, everywhere else. You can find me at Harleen Lopez. I have my Patreon that's under Harleen Lopez. Coming up, I have a few shows. Oh my fucking God, do we have time? Let's see. We have a few things coming up. I am going to be a Rebel Spirit Pro. That's going to be in Massachusetts. I'm going to be wrestling Ashley Box, a big match that I've been looking forward to a long time. The day after that, I'm at Libra Love at the Philadelphia Convention Center. I believe I said that right, for a fan expo. Flying V, the 31st, and then on May 25th is Power Pro Lucha. I have a poster right here. I want to show it off because I can. Big stars if you're into the old Chikara-ness minus the controversy. But like a lot of old stars are going to be on here, a lot of new stars, and I'm going to be a part of the Prodigy Cup, the first ever Prodigy Cup. That's going to showcase a lot of new and upcoming talent.
Love
And
it.
also SWA.
Of course, SWA is going to be there too.
Yes,
Like, was it June
defending my
24th?
championship. Yeah, I believe so. Let me double check. Let me double check.
I'm sorry, TJ.
14th. On
Yeah,
the June
June
14th.
June
June
14th.
14th, I will be defending this beauty back here that you cannot see because of the lighting. Um, I'm not particularly sure who that is yet, but but they're gonna feel all the brutality and the wrath that is the spiteful brute come that
Yeah, who cares? They step up, they get smacked.
day.
That's what's
Yes.
happening. But all right, bet. Well, she told you where you could find her. She even gave you all of her dates. So what does that mean? Like every great part of a wrestling match, we gotta take this home. Cause this is the 3 Count Podcast with this 9-inch ring, and I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller, the man that leads you out that mountain called wrestling. And like every good Sherpa, it's never about me, it's about who's into the ring. So who's into the ring? You see her right there. Harleen Lopez, and you know what that means. Tune in to the next episode and be there, or you're legitimately subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify. You're leaving us those comments. You even leaving us 5-star frog splash reviews off of the Empire State Building. You're also going out there and checking us out on that dumb app with the stupid jingle that goes iHeartRadio or whatever it is. You're going over to foryourwear.com or even prowrestlingtees.com. You're checking out our merch and you're buying our merch. And then all the other things you're doing, you're telling your mom about it, your dad about it, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your best friends, your cousins, and your enemies, because we love haters too. Doing all that stuff, or really you're just kind of waiting for this episode to end. You're waiting for the outro, and then you're choosing another episode to listen to. Kwai. What's up? It is your friendly neighborhood Red Dog, and thank you for checking out this episode of the 3 Count Podcast. Whether that was Chaz friends, Red Dog friends, Damien friends, the Film Styles, now into the ring, now entering 201, or now returning to the ring, all those good episodes. You should really be liking, commenting, and even sharing this with your friends, family, whoever it may be. But what you all should be doing is checking us out on all of our social media platforms at 3Count Pod, whether that's on IG, Twitch, you check us out on Threads, whatever it may be. And if you go check us out on X, it is 3Count_pod. Check us out on YouTube, as well as Facebook, on Rumble, on Apple Music, on Spotify, all those fun things. Tell your mom about us, your dad about us, your aunties, your uncles, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and your best friends and your enemies, because we love haters too. Do all that stuff, and then, last but not least, buy our merch on foryourwear.com or prowrestlingtees.com. Kawaii.